Hello, good morning. Today I wanted to talk about why small classes are better than bigger classes. Being in a small class compared to a bigger class, you tend to understand more, ask more questions, and also pay more attention. When in a small class, you're able to understand more of what the teacher is teaching. When in a big class, you tend to not understand due to the other students. And it all varies, but in a smaller class, there's time to take in all this material slowly and ask more questions to the teacher. In a smaller class, there's times where you're able to be sitting down and you're able to ask the partner next to you more questions, and it tends to go into a group conversation. You're able to be more of a group than a class. So you're able to ask more questions, be more comfortable, and honestly get to know your teacher more to where they can understand you. You know, in a bigger class, people may feel uncomfortable and they may not want to ask these questions. They don't want to sound dumb, or they don't want to say the dumb questions like they think they may ask. In smaller classes, that tends not to happen so much because you feel more comfortable with how many students there is, and you're able to ask the teacher, those questions, and she's able to understand more. Secondly, being in a small class, you're more able to ask more questions, like I had recently said. In a big class, you tend to feel more uncomfortable due to how many students there are. In smaller classes, there's more time to when you're able to get a one-on-one teaching with the teacher, like I had recently said, which I truly agree with. Lastly, paying more attention is something that many students are unable to do in bigger classes than smaller classes. In bigger classes, you're less likely to be able to pay attention due to the teacher. Due to the students and to the teacher, you're not able to concentrate easily. In a big class, there's other students talking and making noises, and you can't really see the board due to how many students there are in the classroom. With smaller classes, the teacher can see more who's making the noise, and they can actually detect where the noise is coming from or who is the person that's talking, and they're able to tell them to be quiet, to pay more attention, or not to be talking while the teacher's talking, which that gives you and other students more available to listen and to understand the material that is being given to you. In conclusion, small classes can be more useful and helpful than bigger classes. In smaller classes, you're able to get a one-on-one teaching with the teacher. In bigger classes, many students feel like they can't do many things. They feel that they're uncomfortable, and they feel like they can't really talk to the teacher and ask the questions that need to be asked. And really, nobody wants that. And personally, I strongly believe in this. Personally, I was, in classes, and the teacher, we're in a really big class. The teacher tends to go fast. They tend to try to get the material to everybody, but doesn't really actually understand how some students may work, and some students may not able to understand the material so quickly. And that's one thing I really dislike about classes, because you tend to not really understand the material. You'll be getting it and you're writing it, but you're not really understanding it because the teacher is not willing to take time to stop because of how many students there are and how much material has to be given in one time period. So with smaller classes, you're able to give the material and ask more questions because you don't have that bigger group, and you're able to see your students, and you're able to see the teacher and understand what they're teaching and ask many questions due to the fact that it's not so big and not so rushed. Teachers are just like you. They get nervous sometimes, and at that, in bigger classes, they feel as if they have to go faster, which is something that's really weird. Personally, when smaller classes, the teachers feel not uncomfortable, just like you. So I feel like smaller classes are better because the teacher can feel more comfortable with y'all and be more open and able to answer many questions about the material, which is something I strongly agree on. So that's why I believe smaller classes are way better than bigger classes. Smaller classes are able to get connected and feel more familiar, ask these many questions, feel comfortable. You're able to do so many things without the bigger classes, and no one really knows how much a big class impacts a student until you're actually in it. Thank you.